My name's Anne Rumpkin. I live in Oxfordshire in England, and I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2014. I went to see my GP because I had abdominal pain. And the first visit, they thought I had gallstones. The pain got worse, and I went back again, and they thought it might be diverticulitis and gave me some fairly powerful antibiotics, which did no good at all. I then developed some lumps under my arms, and I knew perfectly well what I had, in other words, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but they missed it. They then sent me off for scans, etc., and it was diagnosed, something that I already knew. Following diagnosis and scans, I was then had a course of chemotherapy, finished with some radiotherapy, and I was then declared clean. It was fairly rapid, but they could have done some blood tests much earlier on, because had they tested my bloods when I first went in, it would have become perfectly obvious what it was. So it was a couple of months before the diagnosis was fixed. I was quite familiar with the disease because my father had it, and I came from a medical background, so had watched him have it, and his treatment was unfortunately appalling. It was really a question of c'est la vie, get on with it. Basically, because I'm a full-time publisher, I kept working quietly because it's something you can do at home. I used to take my laptop into the hospital. It really didn't change much at all. Chemo makes you feel a bit lousy, but I was only sick once, and I found that was the hospital sandwich that did it, not the chemo. In a lot of ways, it didn't make a great deal of difference because my son was happily entrenched in London as a lawyer, and he and his now wife came and visited from time to time. Otherwise, I got on with life at my own home. Food was a bit interesting, and you had to pick and choose what you ate, but it was quite tolerable. I don't think that really the family were terribly bothered. They thought I'd probably survive it and get on with it, which is what I did. I didn't feel miserable about it. It's one of those things that happens, there's not a lot you can do about it, is there? The hospital has special nurses dedicated to non-Hodg, and so if you wanted to talk to somebody, they were always there. And that was jolly helpful. And whenever I went in to have the chemo, again, they were extremely good, answered any questions, but I didn't really have any because I had a perfectly good awareness of what it was all about. Once I'd finished the first chemotherapy plus radio, I was clean for almost 4 years. And then I suddenly developed lumps in my neck, and it was perfectly obvious that the disease had returned. I saw the GP, who very quickly got me referred back to the hospital, and I had further scans and chemotherapy, and they thought at the end of that it was almost clear, but not quite. But at that point, I was told there was a possible trial, and would I like to do it? To which I said, of course, yes. My father was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's a long time ago now. His treatment was really very, very poor, but they managed to misfire, I would suggest, his radiotherapy so that his saliva glands were completely knocked out, which meant eating became appallingly difficult. My experiences were totally different. It was calm, cool and collected. What more one can say? I mean, I was very well looked after. When I first had the disease, the information was very carefully explained. I knew quite a lot about it anyway, but they were always very good and very helpful and friendly, which is another good thing. I think if I'd needed more help, it would have been there. I mean, there was a Maggie's, which I could have gone to, which I didn't go to, and other things like that. They asked, did I need financial help? Did I need this? Did I need that? None of which I did, but it was all there should I have needed it. When they signed me off, I saw the last person I saw actually was the radiographer, who was great fun, actually. And she said, goodbye, don't want to see you again. And that was it. I went home and got on with life generally. I feel pretty optimistic about my future. I'm old. Yes, I'm old. I'm nearly 85. So it will, que sera, sera. For the moment, I'm going to continue working as I have done more or less since I came down from university. Be hopeful the treatment is getting better year on year. I think it's very important when you have something like this to talk about it and find some good ears who are sympathetic to you. And don't be afraid to say you're pretty fed up with life. I think it's very important if you have something like this to be patient and to not fly off the handle, to live with it and to ask the questions when questions need to be asked. Looking back over the years, I don't think it's changed me very much. I am what I am. Rather bumptious, probably.